All right, hello folks. I am back. Finally, I'd got on a roll and then now I'm off my roll. So let's see if we can get back on a little roll of doing these videos. So I'm going to finish this one out. Sorry for being away. Had the old flu and then I just got been tired since then. So we're going to do it. This is the underpainting. You can watch the other video. The last video before this one is this exact underpainting video, so you have that one to watch. That's just a couple different gessos there to create a little background for us to paint. So I'm going to take just an old brush I've got here and a little bit of liquid white, and I'm going to put just a tiny, I'm going to show you how little. Look at that little dot of, well, there's a hair, a little dot of sap green in it. And you could put a different color. I usually do sap green. It's a foresty scene. And then I'm going to start down here putting some of this on. And I'm going to go over those trees because I'm going to put oil over them. If you're really worried about it, don't touch them too much. But I want this to be hazy and misty down here. And I don't know, probably need a little bit more green if I really wanted it to show up. Yeah, probably just a little bit more. So let's see, the last video I did, I think, was the end of December. Whew. I took a little time off there, didn't I? But hope everybody is okay. And if you had the last snowstorm, you've got power back and didn't get any damage and all that good stuff. Hopefully. We didn't get near enough snow to satisfy me. I love snow. Always have. Get me a little bit more green when I'm going away like that. And I don't need a ton of paint on here. And what I want to happen, is this is a misty scene. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the snow on these trees wet. I probably will, just to show you it can be done easily. Because remember, I've done this one a couple times. I had one that was already finished from a class, and we kind of added a little snow to the trees. Let's get me a little more. I want a little bit more green down here. This is pick your poison, okay? You can do blues, you can do any kind of color I guess you wanted. Purple, I don't know. I wanted it to have a little greenish. Because these are evergreens, so even in a snow, even if we do snow, they're still going to have a lot of green showing, right? These are your conifers out in the Pacific Northwest, where I got the idea for the painting, so. And stretch it up. You don't need much up in the sky because it's quite white anyway, but just kind of stretch it up a little bit. You don't want it to look like you stopped right here with your liquid white and mixture, and you know, it just looks odd. So put a little bit. You're not going to put anything up here you need this to be wet with. One thing the liquid white will do is kind of knock the gray trees back even more, so you could add this as much as you want, really. Down here, don't worry about it. I mean, they can leave that dry. I'm going to leave mine dry just because I can, right? Sometimes I do it just because I can. See if I can get away with it. Now, the first thing I'd probably do is let's mix this up a little color. And I'm going to tell you what I'm mixing. I still don't have a camera for my palette. It didn't work out too well when I tried that. I'm going to just take some... show you here on my knife. I'm going to take some blue and brown, this Prussian blue and burnt umber. That kind of makes my dark. It makes like a blue-green. I've heard some people call it black. It doesn't. I mean, it makes a dark, so and that's what I want. But for me, it's usually got that nice evergreen quality to it, and that's why I use it. I really like it. Mix it pretty well. You want to get it mixed up towards a solid color. Now it's just kind of it looks like black if you looked at it and didn't know what, didn't have any context there. So maybe calling it black's okay. All right. Very dark. Oh, what do we want to do? Let's take us a filbert brush. Did I only bring one? I meant to have a couple back here to use. I'll have to go get another one here in a minute. So we'll just take this one. I was going to use this one to highlight. And I'm going to put some paint on here. Paint on, now remember this tree didn't get any. I don't want any on it. This one, and this one will get some stuff on them. So let's go ahead. Some oil paint here. There we go. Just kind of fill it in. Don't let this tree get too much bigger. You know, if you wanted to get a little bit bigger, you can. But just get that oil on there, and then we're going to highlight it. And also see why I wasn't worried about touching it with the liquid white. I'll just kind of scrub it on there. Too much. Grab more as I need it. And I don't need a ton of paint here either because I'm getting ready to put more paint on here too. So decide where this one ends, and we'll figure out what to do with it here later. Somewhere about right there probably. Let's go ahead and do that one. And this is just our dark mixture. It's a good mixture to use just for dark if you need a kind of a standard mix. You gotta be careful though because it is a blue-green. So if you don't want green, I mean for trees it works great, right? I don't know if I was doing some pink flowers, I probably wouldn't want this as the base. Or maybe I would, I don't know. So let's go, just kind of scrub. This shouldn't take us too long today. You know, hopefully this one will get me back in the mood. Do you guys ever get in moods where like, I mean, I've had this one on my easel here for a while now, and I'm like just staring at it, and like I gotta finish that. It's almost become an albatross of sorts. And the painting isn't it? It's me allowing it to become that. But I do that a lot. I'll get one to a stage like this, and then I'll be like, I don't know, you know, what to do with it at this point. I mean, I know what to do. I know what I want to do, but doesn't work out. You know, I just sit there and look at it. You know, let's put a little bit on this one. We could. A little bit of this one's going to stay a little bit smaller because it's a little bit further away. I don't know. I've got some ideas for down here how to change the painting a little bit, so we'll see when I get down here what I want to do. But for now, we're gonna play around with some trees. Nothing in the background. The background's just back there, right? So we're gonna imagine these. You're not yet to the fog, and honestly, you could probably get away with not even doing this step. I like a little bit of paint on there though to give me, it grabs a little bit better, it seems to, at least for me. Maybe a little bit further. I don't want those two right next to each other. I might have left that one a little higher if I did it again. Yeah, something like that. Okay, there we go. Done. There you go. Hang that one up on the wall. Your folks will be real proud of you and all that good stuff. I'd probably take just a little bit of this and go ahead and just knock a little dark on here too. And very little paint. You likely here, to be safe, you could just use the dark underneath, but I want it to be a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna take a little bit, I might grab a little bit from the trunk and just stretch it out. And all I'm doing is little bitty bouncing motions there. Nothing fancy. Filbert is just one of the best brushes to paint with. So get you some if you don't have a couple filberts. I would get you 2 or 3. That way you don't have to keep cleaning the thing. This oil paint can be stubborn sometimes. You know, something like that. And you can see my shape back there. I don't need, like I said, I don't need this to be super thick. I'm not trying to lay this on, you know, like this is my last layer, because this is the first oil layer, so we want it to be kind of thin. And when I say thin, I did not add anything to it. It's just paint. There's not a lot of paint that I'm using right now. It's kind of just a little bit, just a little paint. How far you want that tree to come down? You know, these trees don't really put too many branches down through here, but we will today because I want to. Remember, it's my tree, so I got to decide what I want to do with it. You can see it, hopefully, excuse me, You can see that little bit of green coming through. That's why it's such a great color for underpainting of trees and things. And you know, if you wanted to add a little white to it, it'll make it a little lighter, and you'd be able to use it in different applications. You can use it for bush, I will down here, for bush dark, for your bushes and things. And you can really get away with using that a lot for a lot of things. One thing on this one is make sure that this tree looks a little kind of a triangle, if you get that in your mind. The big thing in bonsai is that you're always looking for little triangles on trees. Not necessarily trying to make it a perfect triangle, but shapes that indicate that has that peak here, and then over here another peak, you know, that's kind of got that. Same thing in a painting, for me at least, for trees. I'm trying to give them a nice shape. I don't want to have this tree be like a square all the way down, where these branches are the same width as these. So be mindful of that. I have to watch myself to make sure I don't. You know, just stretch them out a little bit more down here, because this is where the tree would be the fullest, at the bottom. You know, now it doesn't have to be that full, but again, it needs to be fuller here than there. All right. So before I do any of that, what I like to do is go ahead and start on the bark, and we'll do these two. A little bit on this one. I'll give you a little trick for this one. And then we'll do the highlight on trees, and then we'll figure out what we'll do at the bottom here. So for that, I'm going to wipe my palette knife off here, just get the color off. And I'm going to take a little bit of titanium white and a little bit of burnt sienna. Burnt umber and burnt sienna are my two browns that I use. I don't like dark sienna. You can use it though. If you wanted to, you can throw just a touch of the dark brown in there and leave it marbled. You know what that means. Don't over mix your color. Okay, and I'm going to make these quite bright because I like it. Almost orange. And you want to be just on the outside edge of this tree. And so I don't fiddle around here all day. I'm probably just going to do this a little bit, and then I'm going to let the knife kind of slide with no pressure on it. You can try it both ways, but the problem you'll have is you may go outside your tree a little bit, and some of you guys might not like that. So you can just touch it on here pretty quick. The only thing you want to do anytime you're doing a tree, whether it's this one or any other kind of trees, you want to make sure your brightest spot is going to be on the edge of that tree. It's not going to be inside here. If there's light here, you wouldn't see a shadow on that side of the tree. So for this one, it's going to be on the right side. For this one, it'll start here, because I imagine it's the brightest right in there. And then this one will be on the, so we got right, left, and left for highlight color. Okay. That's what I mean by slide. Is just kind of let your knife just kind of, it's almost like you're doing a little mountain. But again, this takes a little bit of not caring. So you got to do that. It's almost too bright. I might put a little bit more. Change your color occasionally. You know, change it up here. Let some of that dark show through, though. If you don't let that dark show through, it just kind of looks dead. And a little trick. So I'm going to have some foliage. Not much on these two. If you've seen the other painting, probably some foliage down to here. I don't want to keep carrying all that up there just yet, so I'm going to leave it about right there for right now. Let's just go ahead and put a little bit on this one so we know kind of where we're going. Just touching, and then again you can kind of let that knife just kind of no pressure. So all that is touching is the paint. If you can slide it around, then you can touch a little bit, and you get some nice little barky action in there. That's all as far as I'm going for this one. And then I'll just go ahead and put a little bit on this one while I'm here. And then I'm going to switch over to doing, I need to put a little foliage like this on these two. That's kind of why I'm stopping with the bark. Told you I'm rusty. Well, if I don't paint, you know, for a few days, I forget. Now the good thing is once you paint enough, even if you forget a little bit, you can usually pick it back up pretty quick. You know, if you take a year off, it might take you a paint or two to get the knack back. Whatever. That's about as far as I'm going for now. And I'll show you a little trick for making the tree look like it's got plenty of dark on it, but being very, very loose with it. You know, oh, it's too, look at that, too much. Scrape, scrape, scrape. You ever get too much? I'll go ahead and show you the fix here. Your dark color. Go back and just tap that away, okay? So we're going to leave that there, but I'm going to go, well, no, I can go ahead and get me some paint thinner out here in my little container. Sorry. And I'm going to go back to this filbert, and we'll put a couple branches out here on a couple of these. Because there's not much paint up there, you shouldn't need too much paint thinner, or you could use linseed oil to thin down with. You don't want to use paint thinner all the time. Probably not the best thing for you. Oh, not enough. There we go. I know I've got to spend some time. My script liners are getting very gunky. And they're the one I'm using mine. They're getting very gunky though, and I need to spend some time and clean them up a little bit. Take my glasses. Oh, did you guys notice my little curtain? I'm hoping that makes it look a little nicer. Less shadows behind, you know, less shadows back here. Behind the painting. Just a couple off here. Now, that's quite green because I'm just using the dark color. If you wanted to, you could use brown. I grabbed whatever was here because I'm really not going to see these. You know, it's more to help my mind know that there's something there. And you can see my script liner is not clean. It's kind of forked. I don't know if you can see it. Can't get a point. But if we get a few like that, that's plenty for what I need, because I'm going to go at it here and go ahead and just imagine there's some foliage up here. Maybe there. This is where you can fill in a little more of this left side of this tree, you know, and then you'll have it'll look a little more closed in too. And you can see here just in a second why I said don't take your color too far down. It's going to mix with that, so that's probably, I'm not going to worry about it. But if you're one of those that worries, and if you're a beginner, it would worry me if I was a beginner, make sure you go ahead and do that step next. You know, stop down here somewhere, you know, like I did here. See, I didn't go up into that. And that's probably a better way of doing it, but for today, getting it done was more important. There, see that? It's starting to mix with that, but that's okay. It takes more paint, just go right over it. It won't hurt. Because I need the dark. That brown's kind of dark. Put something going off on that side. Something going off here. Letting them hang down a little bit. However you want to do that. You could push up. You could do all kinds of things. There's no wrong way of doing a tree. If in the end it looks like a tree, you've done a tree. Trees don't have trees aren't hung up on appearance as much as humans are. So if it looks like a tree, the tree's happy. And here's a mind blower. Every tree doesn't have to be happy. It's kind of like people. I'm not happy all the time. But I do know that trees are magnificent. Here's one thing to watch for. See where I stopped here? I either want to be above this one or let this one come a little lower. Yeah, it's just little things. And I'd probably go stop right there. It's close. I might bring a little bit more on that one, but that's about all I want over here, honestly. And this is just the dark. We'll highlight this. I'm going to go grab me another filbert so I don't have to you know, keep cleaning brushes back here. I hate cleaning brushes. Fill that one in a little bit more. I don't want to even see much of that trunk on this one up here. But again, keep in mind that little thing I was talking about where you want your tree to be, you know, coming down like this. So it comes down to, coming down like this. Let's do it upside down. Let's go over here and do the other side real quick since we're here. And if I want some foliage or little, foliage, if I want some little indications of some tree branches here in a second, I'll just throw them out here in a minute. I was looking at the original over here and I really can't see any. So why spend the time on a video doing it? Like you guys have to sit here and watch me fiddle with things. So do it if you want some little branches hanging out. And I may do some at the end here once I get everything highlighted. That's a good time to do it too, because you'll grab a little bit of the color and it doesn't look like you know, it looks nice that way, I guess I should say. Yeah, that old flu took it out of me, guys. The flu wasn't bad, because I had the flu shot this year, but I guess the flu variant wasn't covered. But I also got, I usually will take Tamiflu because I got it right away. I think that helps. And but as far as the flu, I've had way worse. It's just the fatigue. I wasn't very sick. I was just very tired. So, all right. Let's see, I'll have to fiddle with that a little bit. Let me go grab a couple more brushes real quick, and I'll be right back. Got myself boxed in here. Okay, so I'm back. I had to go grab that. I don't think you guys would know I was gone, I guess, if I paused the video. So just ignore me when I say stuff like that. Be like, we didn't know you'd left. I was looking at this as I come back in. I want this one to be a little more full down here. Maybe just have a little more fun with it. And again, this is how I'm making these. There's 18 different ways of doing it, guys. You could use a palette knife and make these trees. You spend a lot of time and make them look really nice too. So I went ahead and grabbed me a clean filbert, one of mine, paint with Bram. And I'm going to start over here. And I am going to take a little dot of sap green and a little bit of mostly titanium white. Okay, and then I'm going to touch a dot of my dark color we're using, our blue green, dark green, whatever you want to call it. I want a very nice highlight color of green. Oh, too much. So I'm just mixing this up. There's nothing. I would love sometimes for you guys to see my palette, and then sometimes there's really no need because you'll see the color. But what matters more is you doing it. There is nothing I'm doing here that is that magical on my palette. And that's not me just saying that. It's really not. So I'm going to come up here with the color right now. And you're going to get to see it. And then when you mix yours, unless I give you the exact weighted formula, you know, take 2.2 grams or something, you know, you're not going to get the same color as me, even if you see me mix it. It's just impossible. You'll get close sometimes, but you won't get the exact same color. So, oh, I got that loaded. There's my green I'm going to use. It could be a little more blue. I think the other one had a little more blue in it. Maybe I'll mix that. But I want to go ahead and show you a couple little tricks here. Now we'll take some of our tree color. And this is a great time. Let me grab a little bit on my little edge of the knife. If you're using one of these palette knives, using a different kind, you may not need that. Just throw a little bit in here occasionally where you might see it. You know, just scrub it in there if you have to. It doesn't matter. But see, now it looks like a tree. And I didn't need to do all that much to that tree to get it to look pretty cool, you know. Just a little bit up in there so we know that tree is not just dark under there. And if I make up a shadow color, which I'm going to here in a minute, I'll do the other side the same way. Let's see, I could put a little bit right there. Maybe there's a little bit showing right there, and just kind of stretch them up, and you know, maybe a little bit comes in. Look at my hand shake. See that? So now we know that that's a full tree. Also a good way to cut off a little bit of the foliage. See that? Let's highlight a little bit of this one, and then we'll keep working on it. This painting doesn't take a terribly long time. Let's see if I like this green. Yeah, I kind of like that. And so I have a little bit, so it's mostly titanium white, a little bit of sap green added to it, and then a little bit of our blue green that we had. And then one little drop of paint thinner or linseed oil would be good. It'll make it stick a little better for you. Or you could use liquid white and use less titanium white. So either way, any of those mixtures, you need something to thin it down just a little bit. And don't worry too much about the color changing. So this one might not be the exact shade of green that this one will be, you know. Trees all get a different amount of light. They, you know, they change and they have fun. So have fun with it. Just, and anytime I'm over here, I'm just adding, mixing, changing. You know, nothing terribly that exciting on the old palette here today. We got some greens and some browns. And I do know that it would help you folks that maybe are complete newbies, because I would like to see it. And one day I'll figure it all out. If anybody's around me and wants to come over here and help me set up a nice looking studio or something, you know, I'll give you a couple paintings for a couple dollars there. Yeah, just kind of laying it on there, mainly on the edges. So I'll usually start above that dark, and then I'll lay the highlight so I can still see the dark color there. Then down here, leave a little bit dark, and then bounce into some darker areas once you run out of paint. Can you see that? It still adds a little bit of something. If I just left that dark color, it doesn't look as good as if I go in and just say, right in here I need a mid-tone almost, is what you're looking at, right? A highlight, a mid-tone, and a shadow. So that really does help. And you know, if we really wanted to get fancy with them, they'd even look better. But for me, I'm just doing this because I enjoy it. And you know, sometimes they turn out great and sometimes they don't. And then see, I'm going to run out of color, and I'm going to come back up to some of this dark, and I'm just going to bounce a little indication of some light hitting there too, because it's going to be rare to see a tree this dark unless it's dark at night. You know, that foliage being that dark, it's going to have some color even in the shadow. Go out in your yard and look at a tree that's in full shade. Do you notice that it's black, or do you notice that it's kind of muted right now? I think a lot of times we see things and we're like, oh, well, this should be really dark, so it just needs to be really dark. There's that one. We may add some things to it. Again, I probably will add a little shadow down here. Let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and do the trees. I'm going to add all my white in there, a little bit more blue, a little bit of green. Like I said, none of the colors will match. And I've got my little jar of paint there, so that's what I use. But it's like, when I say one drop, I mean it. I mean like one little hair touching that paint thinner. You get it too thin, you won't like it. This paint thinner does one thing really well. It thins paint. So I mentioned it, and I didn't really talk much about it. The little curtain back here. It's such an easy addition. I'm wanting to know if that helps you guys see a little bit better, less distraction. Because the wall back here was painted dark, but it still was, you know, I used a flat paint. It still had kind of a shine to it. So I'm wondering if that actually makes it look a little nicer on camera. I'm hoping it does. Makes it a little easier for you guys to see. you know, what you need to see. There you're watching just a little bit over here. Because again, I'm thinking my brightest spot's right there, so this is my highlight side on this one. Change that color. Just bouncing, bounce, bounce, bounce. I always think of, I'll do it down here so you can kind of see it. I always think I'll start here with the mark. I'm going to make a little harder mark than I normally would on a tree. So that would look awful. So try to combine a few of those together to make clumps. And it's almost like I'm trying to make a little shape like that, you know, but not perfect, right? So don't do that down there on your painting if you've got a nice one. Sometimes I'll do little things like that in class and I have to keep them. Even if I say it, somebody will go down there and make those little shapes. I probably would have done the same thing too. Not that I'm have much room to talk. Alright. And when I'm on my palette over there, I run this through, look at that thing, and then I push that back into the paint as I come out, and that loads a lot onto the ends of this brush here. See all those little separate marks you can make, and then you just go back and kind of combine them. Combine, combine. And then again, I still need to come up in here with a little bit. It would look odd, and if you get a little highlight up here, it's fine too, a little light spilling over. I don't want that to be about like that. And the color that you use as a highlight doesn't have to match mine, you know that, because they're your trees. That's one reason I never really worry too much about my palette. As long as I tell you the colors, you can create whatever. If you're using a pink highlight on these, it might not look the best, but any kind of green, if you look at it and say, I love that, then you got it. You got it. You don't need me to tell you exactly what I'm using. Freedom, you know. A little bit of freedom is nice. You have that. I remember the old guy on TV saying you have the first tube of paint you buy. And it's true. If you want pink trees, you can have pink trees. And you gotta decide what's right for you. I always like to let a couple of these clumps that are right in the middle or close to the middle, like you see me focusing on this one. It makes it look like this area is pointing back at me straight, instead of it just being on the periphery of the tree. So it kind of rounds it. Yeah. You can say he's crazy or not, but yeah, see, I like that. I can stretch it this way a little bit so it doesn't look so disconnected there. There we go. Yeah, okay. I think I like that. Last one, we'll go ahead and do this one, and then we'll finish our trunks here. And like, I know I'm painting backwards for this one. I really am, but it works. It works. Sometimes you can paint backwards. Give it a try. You may like it. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this, and then I'll work some color in around this. I may have to touch it up. You guys play with it. You know, as you work on it, you may say, I want to go ahead and put my trunk all in there and have that done. It's kind of a feel thing more than anything. I don't really have a recommendation as to why I'm doing it this way, besides trying to keep the brown from mixing too much with the green and highlight that I'm putting on here. That would probably be my only caveat. Alright. So today is, I don't know what you did, I can't tell you. It's like the 28th or 29th of July. I can't believe. It seems like the year just ended and it's already the end of January. And I was supposed to go down and be in New Smyrna Beach last week, and I decided to cancel that trip until next week, because, you know, last week about this time they were saying you're going to get, you know, 87 inches of snow and 3 inches of ice, you know, something like that. And some of you guys probably got walloped, but we got nothing. It rained an inch and a half of rain on Sunday. And then we got, it's really cold here. That's about the only thing that we get. So, yeah, we don't get much snow, and I love snow. I think I've said before that maybe going to Alaska. Once I hear back from them in March, so I'll get to see some snow there for sure. Get a little bit right there. I don't know why I wanted it right there. A little bit more on that one. I don't like a couple of these. So much brown. I'm going to put a little branch on that little guy there. But there's our trees. Now let's go back to our palette knife and our highlight color for our trunks. This one, see how nice that looks? You just got a little pop here or there. I mean, you can always go back in and just kind of touch a little bit more. I can see that I need to do that here. Where do I want to do it though? Right there, maybe. You know, I'm just gonna put a little bit in there. And I'll probably have to go back and touch up my highlights and things. That's okay. Sorry for my arm being in the way. Yeah, see that? It'll look much nicer if you don't leave them back. One time in class, I ran out of time, and I may have done that. That's probably one reason I didn't like that other one. It may have been what happened. I ran out of time, and mine were just kind of blah. And I don't mind, again, that mixing a little bit in there. But let's do that. Let's make us up a little bit of a shadow color. So the shadow color I would use is take that same highlight color. And you don't really have to have it marbled right now. Just kind of, and then maybe just a touch of blue or even your dark in it. That'll green it up a little more. I like that blue cast that you can get. Yeah, and I'll show you here what it's going to look like. But if I use the highlight color of the tree, it kind of keeps all those colors in there. But I want it to be bluer, if that makes sense. And it can be marbled. Let's see what I think of this. I may not like this. I may have to come back. A little gray, see that? I don't care for that as much. Let's go a little more blue. See if I like this one more. Yeah, you should be able to see that a little bit better. I like that much better. And that's on the back side of this tree. And you can leave the middle kind of dark like that. See that? You got the nice little blue highlights. Sorry, blue shadows. Ignore me when I talk nonsense. Which you guys would have to always ignore me. Just a little bit on this side. You really don't have to fill this up completely with the blue. Leave some of that black showing. But what I do like to do is take a little bit and touch towards the middle of the tree and let it not necessarily, you know, be perfectly cut off. You know, something like that. I don't know if you can see that. And then let's just see if we can find a couple spots on this one. I see one right here that I could, it's so similar to the tree color that it's probably not going to work too good. Maybe a little bit. You could always lighten it. I see a spot right here that would look good. Yeah, maybe a little bit. I can't see that one in here where I'm painting, so if you guys like that, good. If you don't do it. I can't see it because of the little light. Terrible when you're trying to paint, you can't see, right? A little bit over here, maybe just to kind of finish out this side. And you can either touch it and be a little careful, but always touch it and, you know, be a little loose with your touches. Or you can take the whole knife and just run it down through there with no pressure. You know, I'm not touching that blade. It's kind of, it'll come off there. Either way is fine. Depends on what you really want out of your tree. I might just add a little bit of that in there on that side, and then I'll look and see what I need to cover up with my tree highlights. Oh, maybe there, maybe a little bit in there. Yeah, this way it gives the tree has another side. And then I'm going to go back real quick and just scope out some areas that I might have messed up a little bit too much. It's easy to do, guys. Don't ever worry about touching an area that you've already painted with. You don't want to keep doing this, but you also don't you don't have to fret too much. Don't let other people worry about it. You feel like you gotta do it exactly like this. Hey, go suck an egg or something, buddy. Now, a couple of things. The other one had a path. We can do that. And then some bushes. And then you've got a nice little scene, right? Make sure I'm still recording. I'm always fearful of that. I think I've said that every video. And I've done that. I've sat down and painted a couple of paintings that I was going to share with you guys and then realized I didn't film it. Or I didn't have my microphone on. You know, and I'm not going to sit down and do a voiceover for a video. I've got plenty of my brushes here, but I'm just going to use this Alexander one, which I really like. They're very similar to mine. I'll use mine to do the highlights, but I'm going to put a little bit of dark down here. And that dark, I'm about out of. It mixed me up a little more. I've got my blue, that's Prussian blue, and burnt umber. Remember, it makes that nice green, almost black, pretty color. I've always said there's no real pretty dark browns that you can make, but burnt umber is my favorite. You mix up a brown, it can be nice too. But so I want to leave this kind of shadowy, so I just want to start thinking about, and you probably don't need to do too much on this. You can leave it more open, meaning that you could probably just use the dark. But I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing here, so I'm just making some little indications of some little things in here. And the paint will help me grab a little bit too. Yeah, honestly, it's probably for my head more than yours. Knock that down in a little bit. This is just, again, my dark color that I was using. Now you can have little feet come out of here, little roots and all kinds of good stuff if you wanted them. I don't think it needs it. Most of these big trees like this, they go right into the ground just like that. That's it. So see, this is out of the fog. You're going to walk into the fog. That's kind of how it looked. This was a snowy scene. I think I told you guys that. Hey, you know what? I'll use one. I don't know why I didn't use one of these. Use one of these round ones. Do the bushes. But let's think about a little path or something in here. What do you think? Maybe there's a little path right here. I always anymore start my little path with the little end of the knife, little edge. You know, I could say that it would be about right there. And that keeps me from getting it too wide all of a sudden. And I'm just going to kind of almost sketch it out here with the knife. Just putting a little bit of dark paint down. I don't need much paint here because this is dark anyway. Just a little path. We can also, I almost started to do a waterfall, but I think I'll save that for a different video. Different scene too. Yeah, you're gonna walk back into that and it'll be pretty. And let's just take a little bit of our brown, a little touch of our white that we've been using. And I don't care if those colors mix. It's kind of marbled. Grab a little bit on the little end. If you wanted to change this, you could. So it's a little. And anymore, the way I do a path is just put the paint down and just kind of move the knife side to side. Now, you've got to use no pressure. If you're really pushing into that knife, into the canvas, you're not going to be able to leave enough paint behind. But all I'm letting happen is the paint is kind of moving. If I'm pushing the paint into it, it's not going to work for you. So it's again that no pressure deal. But you can move that paint around, and I think it mixes with the darker color. And I think it looks a little more natural to me than trying to lay it on super thick. I mean, you can do it, different ways. But see, I love though. That looks really good. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's mixing with the dark color, the greenish. So you get some nice secondary and thirdary and all that kind of stuff. Colors happening, It's not just the brown highlight color. It's kind of mixing a little bit. And I think that looks kind of cool. So let's do us a few bushes here. And I'll use, like I said, my little round brush, right? And I either need probably some liquid white, linseed oil, or something to thin this down. So I've got a little jar of liquid white here. I'm about ready to make up my own. I'm about out. Actually, I've got some out there in the garage, I think. Oh, this one's dried. Well, that won't work. Well, we'll use I have some left from where I made up my own to put on the canvas. So we'll go ahead and use that. I'm going to get a little touch of green. Go into my yellow. That's why I have, the colors I have out, I didn't say. Sometimes I'm an idiot. Prussian blue, white, of course, titanium white, Prussian blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and sap green, and cad yellow. And we'll make a little blue-green here. I don't want it to all of a sudden just have a yellow-green because the trees are kind of that blue-green. So I'm going to put a good bit of the yellow. Man, it's thick. A little bit of blue into my yellow. Maybe too yellow for me. Let's try it and see. I don't need these to be super... best word I can come up with is standouty. Yeah, that's a little too yellow green for me. We'll leave that one though. It'll be a little reminder that we're not always perfect. Sometimes those are helpful. I'm gonna need to take just a second, do a little palette maintenance. Palette maintenance is just moving my stuff around that I'm using. I've got a mess. Not doing anything important here. Getting my colors where I can reach them more than anything. Man, that yellow I'm using is thick. Probably don't even need the yellow, guys. You could probably just use sap green. And just like I did with the tree. There's no yellow in my green on the trees. So why did I start using yellow? I don't know. I put it out. Felt bad. Didn't want to leave it behind. Oh, come on. There, that'll work, I think. That. Let's see if I like that one a little bit better. A little bit better, yeah, a little bit better. Can almost use just a little more white out. So, there's my white that I prefer. Gambling makes another white that's great. But I've found that Winton, really good paint. And it's student paint, what was I going to say? I was going to say something really profound, I'm sure, but mix that up. Let's see if I like that one. And again, remember I've got a little bit of that runny liquid white mixture I used to start the painting with. Yeah. See that green versus that one, or that yellow green, or whatever you want to call it. I just need some little actions in here. I never use these round brushes, guys. I got so used to doing bushes with the 1-inch that I just don't use the round anymore. There, a little bit there. We're gonna have to get rid of that one, aren't we? If you knew me, you knew that was gonna happen. I can't stand that one. Let's go over that real quick. Yeah, let's get us some color here. Yeah, a little sap green, a little blue. I like a blue bush, honestly. Especially as you get into the shadow. There's what I'm looking for. I put a little more blue in my color now. Now, I'm going to switch over to just a 1-inch. That's what I'm used to using for myself. Grab one of mine here. One of mine. I'm always worried about using other brushes. People are like, well, I go buy his brushes. He's not even using his. If you've got somebody that sells brushes and doesn't use their own brushes, I don't know what that says. I'm going to have to scrape that a little better. I was worried. Get rid of that. Let's go back to our dark. Fill it in a little bit. There. I want rid of that yellow. I don't want that in my painting. Go away. You're not welcome here, yellow. I think this will stick. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see the change in this or not, but I certainly can, and it fits better with that green. Anytime I'm doing a bush or anything, little things like this, you just think. I know it sounds stupid, but just kind of think like a bush. Bushes aren't perfect, but they're not squares. They're not complete circles. You know, sometimes they're just you might just see a little bit of something like right here. You know, leave some dark. Come back to your palette, reload if you need to. Leave some dark in there between them. And then where I've got that one running almost flat like that, just kind of let that one kind of come out like that. You know, there's nothing to it if you don't overthink it. Now you can sit here and be very particular about it if you really wanted to be. So I think I might not put any snow on these. I don't know. I think I might show you guys that it can be done in case you want to. Because remember, it's snow on Cedars, I think I called the painting. That's kind of weird if it didn't have snow. But, you know, I'm weird, so what do you expect? Something like that. And maybe just a little bit over here. I'll tell you what. What if all of a sudden there's just a little plot of grass or something? Just kind of turn your brush and just kind of tap a little indication of a little bit of grass over here. Yeah, something like that. There we go. I love the little path. And to finish it up, what do we got? Make sure we're recording. Okay. We need some snow. So I will take my cleanest of the two filberts and I'll grab my little handy dandy jug here and clean this guy out. I used to have the big old bucket back here and I was like, I don't ever clean brushes back here. Why do I need that old bucket here? And this thing seals up really good with the rubber seal. Don't leave your paint thinner open in a place you're going to be a long time, you know. Long term, you may not like that. Well, you may. I don't know. As to my curtain again, I was just looking at it, about to touch this brush to it. I'm wondering how long it's going to be before it's got white all over it. So, and again, I hope that helps you guys. I kind of hate not seeing my easel. But, fine. Not that big a deal. So we're going to take some clean white, titanium white again, put it over here on my palette somewhere. And then I'm going to need... So we could call this done right there, right? That's done. Sign her up. You could throw some little sticks in there. I probably would if it was me. I may take my script liner and pull out a couple little branches if I wanted to. You know, fiddle around with it a little bit. Try to mess it up as best I could. Yeah, I definitely would have some little sticks down here because there's sticks back there, so you'd have the ones more prominent in the front here. So we could do that. We could spend all that time doing that, and then you could sign it and be done. If you want snow on it, you're going to need a clean brush. Is there none in there? Yeah, there's none in there. Okay, so I'll just use best I can here. That'll work. So I used a touch of paint thinner to make it loose. I want white to be white. Okay. If it gets a little bit of green in it from the brush, that's okay. But it needs to be very, 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 very loose. And then you kind of just come up here and you just touch a little snow on here. And if it's not just sitting right on top of the already thinned down green that you have up there, you're going to want to thin it down again. See that? And you may not like this. Don't put this on here if you like this painting the way it looked before I do all this, okay? And I think I'm only going to do the one tree. Nah, you know me, I'll do the whole thing. I'm not going to put as much as I did on the other one. For one, it's much easier to let this dry and then put your snow on. Why can't you do that if it's easier? Nobody's ever said, hey, I can't, oh, I have to finish this today. Now, if it's just one little step left, that never really bothers me. As I said earlier, this thing just sitting here looking at me all the time kind of became an albatross because I knew I had to do it and I didn't feel like doing it. But one little step or so, you can do that. You can leave one step. I've gone back a lot of paintings and just touched up things I didn't like. But doing a whole painting sometimes, yeah, I get it. You don't want to. You're like, I don't want to finish that one. Or I do want to finish that one, but I can't. You know, here or there, put a little snow on these guys. This is the shot before the other one that you saw. This is early in the snow. Won't have as much. Yeah, I kind of like it with a little bit less. You do want to try to keep that snow a little bit clean. If it gets really dirty on you, you'll have to clean your brush, get some new white out, because it won't look as good if it gets muted down too much. Right? You can see it is getting a little muted there. But I'm not worried about it. Probably could use just another little drop of one little hair into my paint there. If I was you guys, I would use liquid white. I just don't have any back here. For one, liquid white's already thin. So you could almost use just a 50-50 mixture of titanium and liquid white and have snow. For me, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to wing it. There you go. What do you want to see me paint next? Somebody give me some ideas in the comments of what you'd like to see. If you got a photo of something for me to work from, that'd be great. The biggest thing of painting is not being able to paint, it's what to paint. Now I have a folder of 2,000 photos and paintings that I've borrowed ideas from and over the years. Sitting on my computer. Have I painted any of them? Not really. They just sit over there. Well, I really like this one. This one's looking really cool. It's mixing a little bit with that green. So on the dry one, it kind of sits right on it. Can't mix it. So if it mixes a little bit, it looks a little more natural to me. But those photos, I've got plenty. Got plenty that I've taken on trips and going to Alaska, you got plenty of opportunities to take photos. Going to the Pacific Northwest, you got plenty of big mountains and things to look at to take photos of. So I've got plenty of my own photos that I use, but I rarely do anything with them. But I do need to do a little bit of, when I got in the groove of doing a few videos, at least one a week, I was enjoying it. And then the dang flew. I had some ideas for paintings. Now I'm kind of just... January's a hard month. Don't know why. But we'll get through it. Merle Haggard always said if you make it through December, everything's going to be alright. I know. Well, I think I would say if you make it through January, everything's going to be all right. Sorry, Merle. You're coming off the high of the holidays, and seems like the last 2 or 3 years I've been sick right after Christmas. My little granddaughter's a good germ spreader from being in preschool. I think I'm the one that got the flu, though. Of course, go to Costco and you're going to pick up something. And it's busy at Costco. Just a little bit here and there. Kind of like this one. I know you guys have to let me know. Now I'm looking at it right up close. I'll stand back here in a minute and be like, oh no. But so far, I love the snow is on there, but it's not overwhelming. You know? There. Yeah. The only part I don't like is that one where I tried to put, I may put some dark back there in a minute. Fix that one. I may do it after the video's done. There's our trees with some snow. And then we would need like a new brush that's not dirty. Let's see, here's another one of mine. That looks pretty good. I've got to do some brush maintenance. All my brushes are sticky. Sometimes linseed oil will leave a residue. Liquid clear will. You got to get that out of there. Let's use that one. Now, for this, I wanted to make sure it's good and thin. Good and thin. Because if we've got snow up there, we're going to have snow down here on these bushes. Let's just see. I don't know why I'm starting there, but just a little indication and a little bit of snow sitting on that. There's hairs from we had new windows put in, and my brushes and paints were all sitting in the floor, and the dogs, I didn't move them, and there's hairs on everything. Yeah, little indication of some snow sitting on those bushes we made. Now over here, oh, a little hair. Rid of that one. Yeah, it doesn't have to be, you know, super thick. Remember, I'm saying that this snow is before the other one. This is your early in the storm snow. Kind of just sticking to it. Like I said, I hope everybody survived the old snowstorm. And if you can send me some snow, I'll send you a painting. Probably why I get depressed in January. They'll be like, oh, we're going to get some snow. And then you wake up and there's no snow. Oh, one of the saddest things on Christmas was her granddaughter woke up and she ran to the door because it's Christmas, it's supposed to snow. And then she was like, well, maybe they got snow in Knoxville. I'm like, probably not. Since we're right next door. And they didn't call for any, you know. Oh. There we go. There, look at that, yeah. Kind of laying on there. And a little bit right there, maybe. Ooh, don't make that looks like a weird shape. There. And then maybe just a little bit on our grassy areas. We've about got it cranked out. Too long on this one. But you know what I say? Who cares? If you had fun. It takes you 16 hours to make a painting. Don't let somebody tell you that that's too long, because there is no too long to make a painting. I better do this. Last time I put an indication of snow. If you look at the other one, the one that I did from the finished one, I put just a tiny little indication that there's some snow down there on the path. And apparently people couldn't see it because they was like, well, wouldn't there be snow on the path? I'm like, maybe not. Mud and ground. The ground is warmer than those bushes. So you're not always going to get a little snow accumulating on that at the same time as you would on those bushes. So That's not me just saying that. That's from experience, people. Might not get a lot of snow here, but I know snow. Don't question me on my snow. All right, sign it. Be done. But yeah, not too bad. Find you a color you like. I'm just going to use dark. That dark mixture that we've been using. And I touched a little white in it too, just to be calls, I guess. See if I can get my signature right here. Yep. My signature is terrible. How long have I been doing this? 10 years painting? 9 years? 10? I think it's 10 years. 10 years this year. My signature still looks like dog poop. All right, there we go. Let's stand up and look at it. See what we got here. See if it's a garbage pile painting or if we get to keep it. Not too bad. Again, I would spend a little bit of time, make some little sticks and twigs down there in the bottom. For me, I see a little area I don't like, that one right there. Brush real quick. See if I can do this standing up. Just add some dark in there, maybe that'll make it look a little better at least. Maybe. It's hard to tell. Let's go ahead and say that there's a lot of snow on this one. It's accumulating right there. I like that better, I think. But yeah, have some fun with it. Leave it as the green painting or change it and, you know, do whatever. Easy painting, fun one just to sit around and play with. Let's get you a straight on shot. There we go. So I finished the painting. This one will go on today. Today is Wednesday. It may drop tonight. I hope everybody's good. I hope everybody's staying warm. And yeah, if you got any painting ideas, send them to me and we'll paint them here live. Or not live, but you know what I mean. And I will see you guys again soon. Take care, everybody.